Good morning and welcome to Weekends with Whitney. Coming up in this morning's show, more ideas for rebuilding your home. With dollars stretched and hard to come by, we get expert advice on making the best out of even the smallest space. Plus, meet a man who walked away from a six-figure paycheck with a high-profile company to turn his dream into reality. Then Dr. Nick examines what it takes to be a risk taker and how we can all stretch ourselves to be more daring. And as LSU football kicks off, here's one more thing to cheer for: how grabbing this tiger for your tailgate pours into academics in the classroom. But we begin with rebuilding. Most homes are still drying out. So before construction begins, we have another fresh idea for a very small space. In fact, this small space just might get more use per square footage in your home than any other. Right near the kitchen in many of our homes sits a popular spot, the guest bathroom. In my house collectively, we use it more than any other. Many flood victims preparing to rebuild are trying to figure out how to flush out the old look and bring in the new, fast and affordably. So interior designer Ann McCandless stopped in to share some ideas.
It's such a small square footage, but it's so quaint, and you can do some wow thing in here where people come in, they take a breath from a party, powder their face, and they can really see who you are.
I haven't changed anything in this bathroom since I moved in 3 years ago, even though I never really liked it. Ann tells us how to redo it on a dime, along with what she'd recommend for a bigger budget. But above all, she says, this space needs to reflect the person living in it.
I think that's the most important part in a relationship with someone, is I love to know the personality of the person. That's the most important part of the project, because it doesn't need to represent me. It needs to represent you and reflect who you are and let people, enjoy what you enjoy.
Straight up, I hate the color. It's a reddish, orangish grass cloth wallpaper. I feel claustrophobic in here.
The inexpensive way, and a lot of people don't realize, is you can paint this grass cloth. You can paint it with a cool metallic, a cream, a gray, or whatever color you want to represent here.
With a bigger budget, she'd put in new wallpaper.
I would do a pattern of a beautiful, and I would have to say, Whitney, we all know we need to put a little bling, we need put a little fun in here, and it needs to represent you. And you need to, since you use it, since it's so adjacent to your kitchen and you use it so much, that it needs to be your happy spot.
And you're right. I want to feel good when I walk in there.
Yeah, you want a happy spot, and we all need it right now. Everybody needs some joy, and we're going to bring that into this powder room.
The next problem is what to do with this vanity that feels so big in this little space.
If you wanted to, we could salvage the vanity by changing the plumbing and painting the piece.
We could stay with a neutral color to streamline it, or throw in a bolder color for some pop.
But another great application, what I would suggest for you, Whitney, is a beautiful floating vanity, which is made out of a remnant piece of stone. And you can pick a remnant, $35–40 a square foot, and you can make this gorgeous floating vanity here so that you can have such a wow when people walk in.
If you're worried about storage space, that's an easy fix.
And what I'm doing now for another vanity is I'm putting a shelf underneath that you can't see, and that's where you can place extra hand towels, soaps, and toilet paper.
Ann would also take out this long mirror and replace it with a wider one to make the room feel larger.
And then always remember too, buy local. Baton Rouge has wonderful secrets here that people need to support right now to bring our city back.
Ann also says she'd put in new lower sconces,
because you don't want shadows hitting at the wrong place. And in here, unfortunately, the light's shooting up and hitting lots of shadows, and people make that mistake so often.
She says it's not worth the expense to remove this floor. For flooded homes, she says unless you had wood or vinyl flooring, yours can likely stay put too, even if it's a natural stone.
It lives outside anyway in a quarry, and so you may be able to salvage that.
But if you need a new floor, here's an affordable way to give it personality.
That we could actually go to a Home Depot, Lowe's, or any other place and find some cool mosaic because you only need 30 square feet. So you could really wow this floor if you wanted to spend the money.
If you want something simpler, Ann says they're doing impressive things with ceramic tile in almost any look. These, for instance, look like wood floors, but they're ceramic. Ann has a few suggestions on what not to do too. Colored toilets. Yes, they were popular once, but never again.
All of us don't want to do this again. We all need to think timeless. All think timeless, and the way to be timeless is to look at something when you're buying it and say, do I want to look at this thing 10 years from now? Just always remember that. And that's the big thing about design. My thing is trends are great. They're wonderful and they're fun for pops, but timelessness is the key to success in decorating.
Remember that when you're picking out paint colors too. It's difficult and confusing. What looks good in the can is often completely different on your walls. So to save you time, money, and anxiety, Ann has offered to do it for you for free. It's for all of our Weekend with Whitney viewers whose homes were flooded.
I would love to give out free paint schedules to people if they want to email me. I'd be glad, so glad to help in that process.
If you would like Ann's free help, you can email her, mccanley@bellsouth.net. The email address is right there on your screen. And still to come, how this guy walked away from what many would consider a dream job to create his own dream. Then Dr. Nick explores what it takes to be a risk taker and how we can all be a little more daring. Then as LSU football kicks off, here's one more thing to cheer for, how it's pouring money into the academic side. As Weekends with Whitney continues.
Maggio, the only way to go. Maggio Buick GMC, your satisfaction's our specialty. We really deliver on Falls River, here in New Roads. Small town atmosphere, legendary service for over 60 years. Maggio, the only way to go. The only way to go, that's Maggio.
9-time winner of the prestigious GMC and Buick Mark of Excellence Award.
Who says an old dog can't learn new tricks?
Do you want to learn how to inspire?
Learn to fly? Or learn how to drive?
Take a run around this park.
Or this park?
Or this park.
And we'll teach you how to dance.
And reach for the sky.
No matter your age, BREC offers classes to keep you moving, learning, and having fun.
Visit BREC.org and see how together we've made BREC better than imagined.
Welcome back to Weekends with Whitney. The recent flooding has many of us re-examining all aspects of our lives, not just our homes, our community, and our family, but also professionally. You're about to meet a man who, after a lot of soul searching, followed his dream. A lot of people doubted him, but his quest to live it may help inspire all of us to follow our dreams. Kerry Guglielmo had a dream job at Nike for 20 years, but when he hit his 40s, he dreamed of going out on his own and owning his own company.
I had gotten stale at Nike. That's hard for some people to believe that. I mean, I walked away from a job that most people would not do that, and it was an incredible ride, but I literally got stale. I don't know why. I just got stale going to the airport and lost some of my passion. And the value of that, it's no dress rehearsal what we're doing. You got one shot.
Taking that shot to start his own company was not a welcomed idea in his family.
I started talking to my wife about 4 years ago, asking permission if I could do it.
Okay, and you got a big fat no.
I got a huge no, right out of the gate.
And your father, another trusted confidant, no.
Another no.
But Kerry kept dreaming and planning while still at Nike.
and just started getting more and more confident, and got a lot of advice, and finally my wife said, I'll hold your hand on this and let's jump off the cliff. So that's what we did.
At that moment, AST Marketing Group took flight. It sells unique, upscale, corporate branded merchandise to companies that want the best. Business Development Director Stacy Messina says quality is key, utilizing brands like Ralph Lauren, Yeti, and more.
What's different is that we're just not your promotional merchandise distributor. What we do is we go direct to brands like Peter Millar, Under Armour, Nike, Adidas, and we have access to premium merchandise that other distributors do not have access to because of those direct relationships.
Kerry forged those relationships in his 2 decades with Nike.
We have access to brands our competition does not have access to, and probably more importantly than that, we're putting everything online. So we're out there building these large, aggressive company merchandise web stores where companies can be a little bit more efficient.
Companies like Community Coffee, Cajun Industries, Walk-Ons, and many more.
Web stores are, in today's age with IT, they're big. The days of writing manual purchase orders, inventory control, trying to keep track of that. We can do everything online, take the inventory risk out of it for a company. We think that's the future.
Guiding AST's future is also an impressive board of directors filled with heavy hitters. Kerry also hit on something else big. His business model takes out the middleman. So in buying their exclusive premium products, Stacy says a company can actually save money.
We make it affordable, we make it easy. Rather than them having to go to 5 different people to get 5 different things, we have it all with us. And again, through our direct relationships, we get very good pricing, so we can make it very cost efficient for our clients.
Those relationships brought in something else this week. Hundreds of designer shirts donated for area flood victims.
They didn't want us to mention their name. That's not why they did it. But spoke to those 2 global brands, and I was shocked, to be honest with you, because you can imagine how many requests they get.
All the time.
All the time, constantly. And they just stepped up to the plate.
Stacy says they'll distribute these to 5 high schools and several businesses whose employees lost almost everything. She knows firsthand how great all needs are.
My family was hit very hard. We've lost 6 homes and at last count 11 cars, I believe. So yeah, I understand. And when I say I lost everything, they lost everything. So I'm understanding, and we're very happy to give back to the community.
Just as South Louisiana has shown resiliency and strength through this devastation, AST is building muscle in its marketplace. In its 2nd year, AST has sales of $2 million. Kerry says those numbers could easily double or quadruple every year.
And we have a lot of work ahead of us, but I do know this, that we are currently doing well, we are going to continue to do well, and this model is unprecedented and it works.
Working for his own company, priceless.
The euphoria of working for yourself. Yeah, you can read all the books in the world, you never really know what that means until you experience it. Sometimes you just gotta chase your dreams.
Taking risks, big risks that, of course, can impact your financial future, your family, and more, just like Kerry did with AST. Dr. Nick joins us this morning to let us know how we need to prepare ourselves to make such a risk. If you have that burning desire or that burning idea, good to see you.
Good to see you too. And most of us do have several burning fires in us.
Good point.
That we would like to light. So we have to kind of be careful that we're not going to go after everything that our heart maybe desires.
Sure.
And that's okay.
Sure.
That's okay.
But you know,
there's something.
When you have this thirst and this drive, and yet there's so much at stake, are there ways to do it slowly or gently?
Well, it's almost a kind of you can dive in to the deep end, immediately, or you can kind of shallow your way towards the deep end. And I think either one would be acceptable. You have to kind of play with your temperament.
Okay.
And see, what's most natural for you. I myself am a little bit more prone to kind of jump in and kind of learn while I'm taking the risk of something, because I think that makes it fun. Yeah. But it is important to understand that we have to gauge risk accordingly. There does have to be some understanding of, if I don't make it, will I be okay? Will my family be okay?
Sure.
You know, that is kind of a calculated, if you will.
Okay.
Calculated risk. But it's also important to say that I think this is true, there is a tendency and a propensity in our society to say, at this certain age, you should be here, and you should be settled, and you should be just kind of done. And I think that's a real fallacy that we have to fight. You know, at any time in life, just as with this story you just did, there was a decision to change course and take this risk.
Yeah, what his dad said, I don't think you should. When his wife said he didn't think it
right.
could.
You're going to hear naysayers.
Right.
You're going to hear naysayers. And that is part of, I think, the tendency to say, well, you know, I didn't do it, so you shouldn't do it. And, you know, there's a jealousy. There's a little jealousy of that. Not saying that his father was just filled with fear. He just didn't want him to fail, you know, and he didn't want him to and yet I think part of the problem is that we ought to teach our children that it's okay to fail every once in a while. Fail on small things, and then you'll understand that failure is not going to be the best of you.
What makes some people risk takers and some not, Nikki?
I think the essential ingredient to taking the risk is being more driven to achieve than being driven by fear. We go back to that fear catch-all. If it's fear that's motivating us, Whitney, we're doomed. Okay. But if it's that desire to kind of achieve, and we don't care how many times we fail at it or how long it takes to get there, you know, you think of the show and what you've put into the show, and think of the risks, you know, you've taken with the show. Didn't you just take one recently?
I did.
A purchase of something?
I bought a drone, you know, a nice one, and I was so excited,
yeah,
you know.
And that's risky.
That is
because
risky.
You probably don't know anything about drones. And that's not a very inexpensive investment.
Oh, people that I know who have them, who are in the TV world, they've sunk so many. They've lost them in the water. They've lost them in trees. So I know, you know, you could have $1,000 investment that's just gone, you know. And so,
but the risk is not just in the financial investment. It's now learning how to operate it, making sure you use it efficiently, that there's a payoff to it. You know, there's a lot involved in risk.
Gotcha. And 48 hours later, I got it set 50 feet up in a tree with a rain cloud coming. And I was almost kicking myself. Like, why did I do that? I knew it was risky, but you're right, I wanted it. And by golly, that thing came tumbling down with the help of a lovely, you know, big stick and a nice man who had one, you know, in the professional world. And we were able to fix it. And
I think along with that, Whitney, and there's where risk is tied in with perseverance and persistence. It's an attitude of, I got this.
How do we all have more of that?
I got this. Huh?
How do we all have more of that?
Yeah, I don't care that it's sitting up in a tree. I'll get to it somehow. I'll get it back working somehow. There's got to be a way. There's, you know, and you know, again, I think we do it again by taking small risks. And again, I like jumping in, but I think taking small risks, we become more motivated to say, well, I've done this before. Isn't that what came out of you? Like, I've been here before.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been here before. This is not my first rodeo with something that's not going right.
Sure. And you know what I really did? I bought some little toy drones. You know, probably for over the last 8 months, and I've been kind of playing them. I've got
okay. Well, there's a perfect example of how you started off without spending a fortune.
Yes.
Learning a little bit.
I had a lot of those in trees. Some never came out, but but yeah, I was going to climb the tree to get it until it was a cypress tree, and some of the branches were like little bitty. I'm like, I'm bigger than that.
Yeah. But let's if I may, let's take advantage.
Okay.
Of the situation in our fair city.
Okay.
When disaster strikes, there's your greatest opportunity to take a risk.
You're right.
When you've lost so much, there's an opportunity to stretch, to expand. I don't have as much to lose. What is my life about? where have I been going? Where might I go differently? Don't you think that's a grand opportunity?
It really is.
Now may be the time to take that risk that you've always wanted to take. You're looking at me like, you know it's real.
Yeah.
This is where we take advantage of the crisis, that dangerous opportunity. Where am I going? Where have I been? Now may be the time. When it happened, I thought,
somebody who's always wanted to work on a cruise ship. You got a good 6 months.
I thought I want to go sing in Vegas. I could probably sell my condo now. Go and
bartend on the beach.
Bartend on the beach. You could be the hostess. We're laughing, but isn't it real? Risk sometimes is its greatest potential when there is a crisis.
That's right.
Which is what we're going through.
Sure. Look for the open door. Look for the open window.
Look for the open door.
Look for that thing you've always wanted to do.
And let's make sure that our viewers at home know that it's now working.
Oh, it is working.
The drone is now out of the tree.
It is.
It has been kissed and hovered over and loved on. And
yes. And I will, I was careful at the moment, but there's a learning process. In fact, hey, we'll close out with a shot of it.
Close out. I want to see how it works.
All right, we'll show everybody.
You are such the risk taker. I just love it. And but real quick before we go, part of the desire for the risk is also the desire to learn and discover and keep growing.
Wow.
Let us never forget that with risk.
You're right, because I said to Kim as we were trying to repair this, I'm like, look, even if this one's not salvageable, we'll know more about the next one if we have an incident
and there's
like
the
this.
attitude.
And
there's the attitude. Instead of I'm fearful, I'll never touch another one. Well, let's learn as much as we can from this.
Yeah, great. All right, hey, we'll leave you with that drone shot. Great to see you.
I can't wait to see it. Are they going to get? Is it going to get the good shot?
We'll see. They'll see. Much more of Weekends with Whitney coming up
after the drone. The drone flies around.
Nearly a decade ago that Breck teamed up to imagine your parks, and you imagined big. 12 beautiful community parks from one end of the parish to the other, one family-sized water park, and 5 other parks just for your dogs. You have places to splash and places to explore. You have games to play and camps galore. No matter what you like to do or see, visit breck.org and see how together we have made Breck better than imagined.
The LSU football season is now underway, and coming up Saturday, the first home game. Well, here's something you might want to add to your tailgate party to help drive home academics. They're the toast of the town, and this season, there's a new way to cheer on the football team and LSU's student body. It's Geaux Vineyards. And all profits are poured into academics through the LSU Alumni Association. CEO Cliff Benoit says money may not grow on trees, but it sure does on grapevines.
It helps with scholarships and professorships and academic programs that we already support and can do more, and we're adding programs every day.
It's the creation of renowned master of wine, D.C. Flint. He's not an LSU alumnus, but his 4 children are. Their family-owned company produces wine from every region around the world.
He approached us and said, I'd like to make a contribution, but I want to do a really nice wine, and are you interested? I said, are we interested? Gosh, that would be a great idea.
And it's great wine.
Go Tigers.
To go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
Alumni Association Senior VP Amy Perino says it's much better than previous ones.
This is not our first alumni wine program. In the past, we've had 2 different labels, and they've been beautiful bottles, beautiful labels, but not the tastiest of wines. So we sold it, and people put it on their shelves and kept it there. We wanted to come back with a wine that people will drink by the case.
They uncorked it first at Lod Cook. VP of Operations John Grubb says it was an instant hit.
We compared them with two equally priced wines available in the commercial market. The wines were very well received. 2 thumbs up from all of our board members.
The 2 wines, a Chardonnay and a Cabernet, are made from specially selected grapes from California's Central Coast. They cost between $10 to $15 a bottle. It just hit most store shelves last month. But it's not just in Baton Rouge. You can go get it in Lake Charles, Houston, and soon 44 other states.
They have been buying it by the case. It's the perfect tailgate wine, the perfect price point for a tailgate party, dinner party.
It's also perfect timing for Time Out Lounge owner Kathleen Fasulo Byers.
We are so excited about this wine because we've tried to be a little bit more upscale than the old place, because the old place was kind of a neighborhood dive. Let's be honest, it was a dive, and we had so much more to work with here. So we've tried to expand our wine list and have something to offer the people. And when Amy came in and showed us this, we said, "Oh, this is awesome! Such a great cause."
I know, and it tastes
and it's a
good.
delicious wine. Yes, absolutely.
Customers agree.
I think the wine is excellent. Well, as you can see, my wine glass is empty.
It's a donation to LSU's academic side that'll just keep pouring in. You can pick up a bottle at almost any of our locally owned grocery stores. But if you'd like the full list, you can head to my website, weekendswithwhitney.net. And if you'd like to rewatch this episode or share it with friends, you can log on to my YouTube channel, Weekends with Whitney. Have a great Sunday. Hope to see you back here again next week. Until then, we leave you with this.